Do you have a problem smoothly onboarding clients where everything just feels disjointed, scattered, or like you're reinventing the wheel every time? In this video, I'll share my exact process for onboarding new clients in my own business. My name is Anna MacDonald, and I help online business owners build better business systems so they can scale with ease and without the overwhelm. Now, just for a second, I want you to envision yourself at your favorite store. So for me, this is me standing, basking in the glory of Target, right? And you're at checkout and they hit you with that irresistible offer, 50% off your entire purchase if you just sign up for a card, right? And of course you can't resist if you're like me in like my early 20s. And before you're done even signing your name on the little electronic signature pad, right? You're hit with the emails, the welcome, the coupons, the check out this latest offer, right? You haven't even left the store yet. That, my friends, is a well-oiled new client onboarding process. Now, in another video that I'll link here, I shared with you how to map out your onboarding process so that you can really work out the kinks and get rid of unnecessary steps, standardize certain emails and forms that go out every single time you onboard a new client or take in a new lead. So check out that video if you want to take care of all of the steps that come before building out the actual workflow and process in a platform like Dubsado. So let's head over to the computer. I'm going to show you exactly how I've mapped out my client onboarding process in MindMeister, and then I'm also going to share with you exactly what my client onboarding workflow looks like in Dubsado. Okay, so here we have my new client workflow mapped out in MindMeister. So I want to point out a couple things that might be different from what you saw in the lead capture process workflow. So over here, I have a legend up here where you can see what is a form, what's an email, what is a zap, what has been built out into a workflow, and what's been tested and green lighted. So I haven't updated these since I've built out my Dubsado workflow because this is just for my own knowledge. But for a client, I will typically update this map so that they can just pop in here and see what has been built into the workflow and what has been tested and green lighted. So let's move right into this workflow. So here you'll see these steps up here are my lead inquiry process. So they'll put in a form. I'll either decline the call request because they just aren't a good fit, or they'll start moving through the lead workflow. But my new client onboarding process really begins after this proposal step here, where they've been sent the proposal. Maybe I've had to send a proposal reminder here and also sent a contract and an invoice. And I also like to include here, I'm going to zoom in if I can over here. Let's see, there we go. I'm going to zoom in over here. I do like to add what the status will be in Dubsado once that certain step in the workflow has been completed so that I remember to build that into the workflow. So you'll see here that a proposal being sent will update the status in Dubsado to proposal sent. Then moving down along, let's say that they've been sent the proposal, they've actioned, they've signed the contract, paid the invoice, they will receive a welcome email. And this will also trigger a zap in the back end of my business to take care of various onboarding housekeeping on the back end, things like creating Google Drive folders, ClickUp templates, that sort of thing. All of the things that go into onboarding a new client, right? Then once they are a client, I have certain milestones that I like to send to my clients. So just check-in emails, feedback forms, call reminders, those sorts of things. So I build those into a client servicing workflow, and then eventually offboarding, which again triggers some things on the back end. Now, if they do not action the proposal, I want to make sure that something happens to them, right? Like we've already gone through the process. they are a hot lead, so I make sure that I update it to hot lead status. And I want to follow up with them in a nurture sequence. Now, I say this as a caveat that if I move them into this nurture sequence I zap them into my email service provider, which is ActiveCampaign. If they unsubscribe from that list in ActiveCampaign, I do need to remove them from any follow-up actions in Dubsado, right? Because Dubsado is not an email service provider. They don't have the unsubscribe feature. But if they do action an unsubscribe button on my email service provider, I need to honor that in Dubsado as well. So I just wanted to mention that. So let me zoom back out. So this is the overall workflow of a stranger out in internet land finding me and becoming a client or not, and then how I follow up with either of those actions. So next, let's move into Dubsado, and you'll see my actual process and workflow that is built into my business management platform and how that works when a lead comes into my business. So this is the back end of my Dubsado here. So here we have, you'll see a lead inquiry workflow, a new client workflow, and a client servicing workflow. For the purposes of this video, I will not go into offboarding, but let me know in the comments below if you'd like me to share my offboarding process, the checklists that go into making sure you smoothly offboard a client so that they want to leave you a testimonial, right? And just make sure that they had a good experience working with you. That's just as important as a testimonial. So I won't cover everything here in this lead inquiry workflow because a lot of this is before they become a client and we're doing a new client onboarding process. But I do want to just share with you the back end of what a Dubsado workflow looks like. So our new client process really picks up down here after a client has actioned a proposal. So you'll see here this checkbox is sending the proposal, and I approve that before that goes out. If they complete that, I have a status change here where they move to the new client. If they do not action that proposal in a couple days, I'll send them a follow-up automatically. But I like to leave an approve button here. And again, I know this isn't new client onboarding process, but I wanted to share this. I do put an approve button here because sometimes we've had a conversation on the side and it's kind of distasteful to send a canned email after we've already talked about why they're waiting to complete the proposal. So I do leave an approve button there. And once those are all completed, they will move to the new client workflow. Now, if they don't complete that, remember they're moving to a separate process in my email service provider to be nurtured and hopefully brought back into this workflow with actioning a proposal, right? Okay, so now that they have completed this process, they are moving to their new client workflow. And again, I have this set up pretty simply because I have Zapier taking care of a lot of it. And I will do a separate video on all of the ways that I have Zapier helping me in my business. But I have a great virtual assistant, but my second virtual assistant is Zapier. So once they move into the new client workflow, we change the project status to either starting soon or new client, depending on their start date. And then I send them their client portal information, a welcome email. We have all sorts of things happening on the back end so that they feel warmly onboarded. They get all of the information that they need to get started. And they feel that as soon as they have signed their contract and paid, they are being taken care of, right? I don't like when there's a delay between when I purchase something and I get to participate and feel taken care of in that process, right? I don't want that for my clients either. I want them to feel that once they are in my world, I have them. So I like to immediately send a warm, welcoming onboarding email with all of the information they need, any checklists, what information I need from them. any links to their portal you'll see here, or if there are links to certain tech that we're setting up. I like to have all of that in this welcome email. And then I'll change their project status again. And this is just so in the back end of my Dubsado, I can see where in my sales and service process I have certain people, right? And that helps me get all sorts of information. If servicing is taking longer than I thought, right? That lets me know that I need to slow down on bringing on new clients. Or if a lot of people are getting stuck in the lead capture process, how can I streamline that and make that more simple and more effective to bring those people on and move them through this funnel, right? So that is why I like to update project status as often as possible, so I can really pinpoint where people are in this entire workflow of lead to offboarding. Then I also create a to-do for a recurring invoice if applicable. So this is something that has to be done manually, right? So, but it's also helpful to have the to-do being created automatically, so I'm not forgetting the parts of this workflow that do have to be done manually. So if I have a client that is coming on not just for one project, but for maybe a 3-month commitment or something even longer, I have a to-do here so that I know to go back into the invoice and make sure that that is recurring every single month. And this to-do will just automatically email me. So that is it. Now, I have it stop here. I don't have them move into a separate workflow automatically at this point because my one-on-one clients are very high touch. So after this point where they have been onboarded and all of the automatic things have happened and gone out, the rest of my client handling is pretty customized and high touch, like I said. So after this process and we really get a good handle on how we're moving forward, I will manually move them into a client servicing workflow where I'll send periodic check-ins and feedback forms that are clearly automatic, but just lets a client know that their feedback is really important to me, and I don't want to forget to gather that when we're in the midst of a big project. But if you are running a business that has more people at this point, right, and maybe you're doing 10 or more clients at a time, you could absolutely automate more of this process and more of the milestones that happen when you onboard and really standardize. That is the key to automating. And I know that that can make people nervous because you want it to be personable, right? And you want your clients to feel like you are taking good care of them, but it's really hard to scale and do this for the masses if it's not somewhat standardized and automated. You can customize as much as you want using this create a to-do function in Dubsado for sure. So that even if it is a little bit more manual, you're at least reminding yourself to hit those milestones with a to-do sent to your email or right in your dashboard of Dubsado. Now that you've seen my new client onboarding process mapped out and built into Dubsado, if you're thinking, I want that for my business, but I just don't have the time or the energy, that's what I'm here for. So I'm going to put a link below where you can fill out a form. Let's hop on a call and talk about how to streamline and simplify your new client onboarding process so that when you get a new client, you're excited and not stressed out. Make sure you hit subscribe for new videos every Monday on how to build better business systems so that you can scale without the stress or overwhelm. See you next week.